Um, Hi.
Hello.
And welcome to my little HP podcast. Today it is evening. What's the date? It's the 4th of May 2021, and I'm located in Belgrade at this moment in Serbia. And I decided to do this HP, aka honors program, portfolio in a audio form because I like to talk more than I like to write. And I took the opportunity of the free form of the portfolio to do this my way. So I'm sitting now with two of my best friends, Anastasia and Mia, in Mia's apartment, and we're gonna talk about my competences and projects. And this is also a really great opportunity because I do talk with Anastasia and Mira a lot, but we never really deeply talked about my projects. So I think this is also a very nice opportunity to go more into that. So yeah, hello.
Hello, Maya. Okay, so we're talking about competences. So let's start with your innovation-driven part. I want to hear you talk about the situation where you expressed your innovation motivation.
Yes. So innovation driven. I would like to talk about my project called Spumante Bones or Housewife House. It's a project I did in the minor of the fourth year, so on the term 4.1, and my minor was visual culture honors. So basically, we were supposed to do a project within the topic of visual culture, and I chose very special part of Balkan culture, which is called Turbo Folk. So basically, I was in the situation where I was researching Turbo Folk, and I was researching traditional instruments from Serbia and the surroundings of Serbia because we had this like audio little like a sub topic and a sub assignment which was audio based. So I was like, okay, like I really want to like go into that. So I came across this instrument called gusle, and it's like a really traditional instrument which is like traditionally just played by men, and it goes like from grandpa to son to son, la di da di da. So it's like all men, and like I really don't like that traditions which are just like men related, and like it's not inclusive, and you know like it's kind of chauvinist and sexist, etc. And initially, I actually wanted to just buy the gusle and then play with that, right? So like maybe like make some sounds with it, or like make a song with that or something. And then I came across this like situation or problem where I contacting different people who make the instrument in Montenegro and Serbia. I like nobody was shipping the instrument to the Netherlands or outside of the Balkans really, or outside of Serbia or Montenegro. So then I was like talking to my teachers, and I was like, yeah, like they're not shipping it, and I was a bit devastated. And then one of my teachers was like, oh, why don't you make your own? And like it was kind of a joke, like, oh, why don't you make your own, you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, like I was like, I'll fucking make my own instrument, like watch me. And then so I interpreted in the end like the instrument, like the anatomy of the instrument, so like the looks of the instrument with like my major topic of the project, which was like housewife and like the life of a female in the Balkans, and turbo folk, etc. And then I made it, so I reinvented it into my own kind of like into my own way of the gusle, which I called in the end mayusle. Yeah, so it's like my own way, because it was made of kitchen tools, so like of a salad bowl, metal salad bowl, and then like a soup spoon thing, and like a lot of other things. And in the end it kind of looks like gusa, but then you look kind of close and you're like, what what is this? So it's kind of like this uncanny valley situation where you're like, okay, you think you know what it is, but then is it, like it's like, what?
Nice.
Yeah.
But what was like the task behind all these ideas that you had? Like, what was the professor asking you to actually do?
Well, basically, it was kind of like different sub-tasks during this whole like big project of visual culture. So like the main topic kind of was called ruins. So the like, kind of like the main topic was to what will we leave behind to like like the Egyptians left behind the pyramids, etc., etc. So what would we leave behind? But then within that huge topic, which was like kind of the end topic, there was like little steps in between. So first it was mapping, and then second one was the like audio scale, kind of like audio noise task. And then the third step was kind of like materializing the mapping and the audio work. So yeah, that was the task. And I kind of like, during the mapping, I came across the turbo folk, and I wanted to like dive more into that, because that was kind of like the beginning of the visual culture part that I investigated. And then in the audio part, the sound part of turbo folk, because turbo folk in the core is actually the music, but then it's very much the visual culture of it. So I kind of like combined that, and then in the end the material end of that all was the gusle, which was the instrument, and then as well the video and audio. So like actually a song that I did with the collaboration of another like a music producer. So I think like all of that, and also just creating the persona, like it's a lot of different things that like connected to Spamenta Bones, and like to basically like the reinvention of turbo folk, but then in a uncanny valley way, which is like kind of like my way of interpreting turbo folk, which I, by the way, hate. So kind of like making it my own and like owning it. And so yeah, that was I guess then, yeah.
Well, action sounds super fun. Like, it seems like you were also finding out more and more about it while you were investigating. And I like the way that you are thinking out of the box with like, okay, I don't have gusle, but I can make mayusle. I mean, that's genius. Like, literally, I love it, Maya. Okay, so like, I see that result was the video,
Yeah.
and the song and the persona.
Yes.
But like, how do you see like the reflection of it?
Yeah, so looking back, I mean, like I really enjoy the whole process. Like, I really really enjoy, because it's also like going outside of the box, because I do like, my major is fashion design, but I really, especially now in fourth year, where I in my minor, where I had the freedom to express myself in any way I wanted, I really noticed that I love just expressing myself in basically any way, that be audio or any other way. And I don't have to restrict myself on doing fashion, or like doing fashion. And it really makes me so happy, and like I really really enjoyed the whole process. And there were so many people from different disciplines there, and nobody had to do what their major was. Nobody cared about what your major is. It's just like, you have your research, and you do you, and like I love that. I really love that. And I mean, it was hard, definitely, because like I dove into to my own culture, and it's always kind of like a retrospective, and like you always like re-ask yourself, are you doing the right thing? Like, is anybody gonna get um, uh, mad at you? Because at the end of the day, I do use a lot of like, not no, I wouldn't say call it mockery, but definitely some kind of like fun, or like, because it is naturally my way of expressing myself. I use a lot of humor in my work and in my life generally. And it is kind of also a coping mechanism, but also just a way of living. And I do use it a lot, I notice now, especially in my work. But it was really a thin line between, okay, this is not a joke, it is funny, but it is not a joke. And through the whole process, I had to like every step I took, I had to rethink, okay, is this too funny, or like, or is this okay? Like, because I didn't want it to make it a joke, because it was still my project, and it was still important, and it was deep, and so that was really a challenge. But, and it's of course also in the future, it's going to be like always like this, what is genuine and what is a joke. And also talking a lot with with my teachers, I got like feedback, and I got a lot of like, because sometimes you don't see what you're doing, and like you think it's fine, but then somebody else sees it, and then it's like, what, like, what do you mean? So then you have to re-question, and like that was really, I didn't see that coming when I chose that topic of turbo folk. I was like, oh yeah, this is interesting, but I didn't see that part. So that was definitely a challenge. But I am of course still struggling with it. I mean, like, it's just the process. But I do hope that my project was. I am pleased with my project in the end, my end result. But I'm also really glad I found a topic that really interests me, and that I want to work further on. And I'm also really grateful about the feedback I got, and I can work with that for my future projects as well. So
nice.
yes,
Thank you, Maya, for explanation. It's really interesting. I didn't know this much about the project. I knew about the Gusla and stuff like that, but it was just the top of the ice.
The iceberg. Yes, yeah,
yeah, word.
Sure.
Okay, let's then talk about your like demand-driven part. Like, what can you tell me about that? Like for example, let's start the same. Like, what was the situation like?
So basically, in the demand-driven competence, I would like to talk about my project from the major 3.1, and I call that project Shepherdess of the 21st Century. So. To explain the situation a bit, in the major 3.1 we had, so it's the first semester of the third year, and we had parallelly we had the major projects, so for fashion design for me, for example, and we had the practice projects. So those are like, for me it was like two really big projects parallelly going on, and it was a really intense period. So for my practice it was the honors, and for my major it was fashion design, and I would like to talk about the fashion design part. So we had this assignment, and it was called, I'm not actually sure what it was called precisely, but the assignment was to make a capsule collection, and a capsule collection is a collection of six pieces, or like 6 outfits, plus minus, so around six right, outfits. And we had to base our whole project on a designer, but on a designer or a fashion house that was in business for 10 years. That means like really kind of like old fashion houses, so like Chanel and I don't know, Dior, etc., 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 right? So we had to kind of like make the situation where we are the creative directors of that designer house we chose, and we had to pretend we're making their collection for next spring summer. So when we started the third year and I heard this is going to be our assignment, I was like really not having it. I wanted to work on myself as an artist and a designer, or whatever you want to call it. So like more on my personal exactly, on my personal interest and my personal expression, to find kind of my own way. So I wanted to work on myself, and I didn't really feel comfortable doing this assignment because I felt it's really commercial. It's really like taking somebody else's ideas and style and history and then making it kind of your own. But in the end, you are taking somebody else's ideas, and I didn't want that. Like I did understand the assignment and that it can be very creative and whatever, but like I just didn't feel comfortable at that point. I just wanted to have a topic that I can work on, but I can work on in my to work on myself, right?
I see. So like, I mean, as I see you're like quite critical about everything you do.
Yeah.
So for me, this sounds like impossible thing to do. Like, can you please explain me, like, how was your action actually going? Like, how did you make yourself fit into this task and actually pretend that you're in a huge company that is already like, how to say, has its own fundamental things figured out, and like you need to just follow the path and be like another brick in the wall, let's say.
Yeah. So basically, I really took the courage to just say, I don't want to do this. And yeah, like I mean to be quite honest, like Willem de Koning is really kind of like telling you this whole concept of you have to change to stay the same. So that's the motto of the school. And I think the whole program is quite okay. This is a big, but quite anarchist. So like it's from the beginning, you kind of like given tasks, but at the same time, you're very free to do what you want. And I mean that's kind of the concept of the school, and that's why I started the school in the first place. But so now I was in the situation where I really didn't like the what was given to me. So I just felt it's natural to, okay, if I don't like it, I'm just gonna change it, and like I was like, it didn't feel right. So I was like, I talked with the coordinator of the fashion department, and I talked to the SSC, so study career coach, which was our study career coach for the whole class, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. So there was like this whole conflict of like me who was openly saying I don't like this. I want to kind of like a bit change the assignment to my kind of own needs, and then there was the whole class who was kind of like whining about it, but nobody wanted to say something about it, and I was like,
who else? I mean, who else is gonna start a revolution than Maya? I mean, this was from high school. I know you for a bit longer time, and that's so, yes.
I mean, like, I just had to. It was just that the natural. I'm not gonna, like, do for a couple of months something that I don't like. I came here to do something I like. So if it's just... Anyways, so then there was this whole conflict between, like, some teachers being okay with it and some teachers not being okay with it. And in the end, I was like... I just skipped a couple of classes of the people who didn't like my idea, and I just kind of like made it my own. And then in the end, like the result kind of ended in still a collection. So I still made a capsule collection, but like I didn't base my idea on somebody else. I kind of like took the topic of the practice. So I took the topic of the honors.
Okay.
Which was back then called theory and fiction, or
Oh, it's
yeah.
the sheep.
Yes, with the sheep. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why shepherdess of the 21st century. So I based my idea on the concept that I worked on for the other project, but so I based my idea on that and on this theoretical work I was using for that project. But then I used it to still kind of, you know, interpret it into the fashion assignment. Um, because I was not against making a collection or something, I was like, let's do it, let's try, but I didn't like the taking the topic from somebody else. Um, so yeah, that was in the end the result. I made a capsule collection based on another topic, and
what was the topic?
so the topic was I kind of like so the topic was theory and fiction. So you had to take, yeah, I mean, you didn't have to do anything, but like you know
You were supposed
you
to.
yeah, exactly. So I took the theory, which was religion, so Orthodox religion, which again, a topic I didn't like, or like I didn't like because it was chauvinist and da etc. But so I took that topic and I kind of like recreated it, the whole story. So it was the situation was Jesus, the second coming of Jesus. Like all the Christians are waiting for Jesus to come back, right?
Nice.
But Jesus comes, but Jesus is a woman. Like what? And she falls from the sky into this village where my grandpa's from. So I kind of interpreted also my personal story. Where my grandpa's from in Bosnia, and it's like a shepherd's village. So like
Nice.
everybody has sheep, and that's the basic, living condition. So she falls there, and she's like naked, and she's like, "Oh my God, where am I?" Jesus is here, and she goes from house to house, and in all the houses there are women there because women stay in the house because they're housewives usually, and the men are in the fields. So because she's naked in every house, the housewives make her an outfit from the textile they have in the house, and the textile is usually the carpet, the curtains, the cushions, the tablecloths, etc. So they kind of take what they have in the house and they create the outfits for her. So in every house you have a different outfit, and that was kind of the big idea of the collection, so that you have kind of like, if you have 6 outfits, you have 6 houses where they made the outfits for her. So kind of that was the end result.
I just have to say that from that collection, I just love the not the flip flops, the house shoes that she had. Like it was amazing. Like it's the basic thing in Serbia. Like when you enter the house, you take off your shoes, and they give you the like flip flops for the house. And if you do not take your shoes off, you're rude. You're just being rude, you know?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay, and then like, how, when you now look back at that project, like how do you feel? Like what are your conclusions about it?
Well, I am proud of myself that I did this step of like, and I think right now, I didn't realize back then how brave that step was to take, to say, I don't like this and I'm gonna change it. But now I'm like, oh my God, like, wow. And I really like, I passed it, So obviously my project was good. So that's something really, really cool. But personally, I'm like a bit not regretting, but like I'm like I still did the big step, but I still was scared to do what I actually wanted to do. So what I actually wanted to do is like to really go crazy, to don't do a collection, but to kind of do my own thing, like, so for example, for the practice part, for the honors part, which the topic was based on, the theory and fiction, I did a sculpture, so like a full-on a sculpture model of myself in plaster, and then I did an installation in in a gallery, and so my whole, actually, like my whole heart was in that sculpture, and I wanted to create that installation. And now looking back, I kind of like wish I just focused on the sculpture, and I just focused on the installation, and that I kind of like maybe made that installation my whatever, my project,
Collection,
exactly,
let's say,
or what, so because I honestly didn't really care about what she's gonna wear. I was more into the story of it all, so, and how to express that story then, right? So I didn't really care about the collection part, but I still kind of felt scared of, am I gonna fail, am I gonna pass? So that's why I did the collection in the end. I I mean, I cannot say I regret it, because in the end also the collection idea was quite a nice idea. Like, it was quite a nice idea, and I think I also have to be grateful for that, because that was kind of my jumping point where I realized that I actually want to like really focus on the other side of, call it fashion, call it art, call it whatever, and not focus on the collection or whatever part. So yeah, so that was a jumping point for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so far all of your projects seem quite personal and quite, let's say, involved in your life, where you're from, and your beliefs and disbeliefs. So, can you tell me more about your collaborative working? Like, how is that working for you?
Oh yeah, so with the collaborative working, there is a dear project I was working on recently, actually, and it's the campaign for CMR and EMR 2021. So it's actually quite funny. So I got this email somewhere in autumn about the CMR and EMR, and to explain a little bit more. CMR is the like student board of the Hogeschool Rotterdam, and EMR is the student board of the Willem de Koning. So every kind of like smaller department of the bigger school have kind of their own student board, and then there is this like big student board for like connecting all of the departments. And I got this email for like the elections, and I was like, what is this? Like, I'm getting this every year, but like, I just had this like intuition that like, why not? Like, let's try it. So I emailed them, and I was like, I don't know what this is. So at that point, I didn't know what EMR and CMR are. Like, I had no idea. But I was like, elections, let's go, and so I emailed them, and they connected me to Canville, which is now the chairman of the CMR, so of the whole, but he's studying business. Anyways. So like, and he was the one explaining everything to me, and he was on supporting me through this whole process. And when I realized what it all is, he also told me some really interesting facts. So he told me that like last year, for example, no, okay, yeah, last year now, yeah, just 1% of students voted.
Whoa.
1% of students. So I was shocked, because in the end of the day, I was thinking about myself, and I didn't even vote because I didn't even know. You get this email once a year, and you don't even understand what they're saying, so you're just like delete, like you don't care about it, and even like if you want to like vote, so you go on this link that they put in there. Fine, you click on this link, and there's like the candidates, right? The people who applied to be part of this, which you can vote for later on. And so you go on that, and you see these profiles people don't even care about. So like you have this like page where like you could see all the profiles, and you're able to upload your picture and write about yourself and why somebody should vote for you, etc., etc. Nobody puts anything on, so you just see a name, you don't even see a picture, you don't see anything, and you're supposed to vote for that person. So I was like, hell no, like I want to make this fun. Like I was like, let's do it, like I was scared personally all these years because I'm a female. I'm non-EU, which means, okay, I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but which means like the rules and regulations for non-EU students are so much bigger and like so much more than for EU students. So I always felt kind of like scared to take initiative or to have a voice, or I didn't even think I had a voice, you know, like I was just I was anxious all the time. And I don't know if it was corona and then I had time to think about myself, or I don't know what happened, like detailed wise in between, but I just felt now like I want to do something about this. I want to do this. I just want to do this, you know. I want to try. And I made this campaign, and my main kind of like collaborators were friends, mainly, for example, Famke, which is third year fashion, and then also a friend and dear colleague from advertising, Charlotte. And Charlotte Fervai, I consulted her because, of course, she's from the advertising department, so like she has a lot of more experience exactly from marketing and, you know, like that type of branch. So I consulted her about it. I had a photo shoot with also my dear friend and colleague Alice from photography, who did the photographs for the campaign. And like it kind of like it was, I in the beginning I didn't really see it as a project. I saw it as something just that I wanted to do, you know, and I felt the need to do it, especially seeing a lot of things at Willem de Koning that I didn't like, or at Hogeschool I didn't like, and I wanted to, you know, at least try to change it, or at least understand why those rules are there. And, you know, of course everything starts from you and your interest, and yeah, I was like, why do we have to pay 4 times more the tuition fee than the European students, etc., as an example. So I collaborated with all of these people kind of spontaneously, and everybody wanted to help me. And then we printed a lot of posters, and we printed little leaflets, and my roommates, who are also going to Willem de Koning, everybody was so hyped about it, and we made t-shirts even like with peace, love, unity, because peace, love, unity was the motto of the whole campaign, right? And like, yeah, I also collaborated with this graphic designer.
I have a really specific question.
Yes.
Where did you put your posters?
Okay, so I put my posters all around Willem de Koning.
More specific.
In the toilets.
Yes. Not in the toilets, but like above the what's the name?
Pissoir, I don't know.
The urinal thing for men. Like when you go to urine and you look at Maya with a princess
crown
in
tiara.
A tiara, yeah, of course, and like a pink
sweater,
like a you know face of a baby angel. Like we're talking about Maya, come on, but yeah, the advertising, amazing.
Yeah, so like we made this like amazing posters that were also fun for me, because I was like, you know what, this needs to be catchy. Like I talked with the business students, and like I was like, yo guys, what did you do before, you know? I wanted to know what's the procedure kind of. And they showed me their poster. It was basically just like this, like sitting behind the desk type of picture, like with kind of the name on it, and that's it, and like vote for me. And I was like, hell no, we're doing this my way, because I was like, I need to do this fun for me. I need to like it. If I don't like it, then what's the point of it? Yeah. Like, so we made this kind of funny, but you know, like posters, and putting it all over the school, kind of like propaganda, but also making fun of propaganda, you know, like and also this little leaflet, and we put it everywhere, literally. Like now at the most, it's like Easter eggs on Easter, when you do an Easter egg hunt, and then ages after you find the egg somewhere in corners. That's with the leaflets. So like I go to a random classroom where we have class, and I see on the floor this leaflet. I'm like, oh my god, like what? You know, like it's still there. And like, so, and also like we did also the posters and the leaflets at the other part of the university, because the voters district was not just Willem de Koning, but also the communication department, which is another building in the same street as Willem de Koning. So we also did the same thing there, and of course those people there have no idea who I am. I mean, people at Willem de Koning kind of know who I am because I'm fourth year and I'm, working at school as well as a PAL, aka peer assistant coach at the fabric station. So, people see me around. And like at the communication department, nobody ever like, who is this chick, But a lot of people kind of like came up to me or like messaged me later, like from the communication department, being like, oh my god, we love your poster, and I was like, oh thanks, whatever, like, and in the end I actually won. I won CMR and EMR, because you can also sometimes lose one place, but I applied for two just to be sure, I get at least one. But so I got both, and I was like, oh my god, like what did I do to myself, like overwork, but okay. And yeah, I actually, when I had my first EMR meeting, so like
wait, I need to ask you one question.
Yes.
First. Sorry to interrupt you. What was the outcome of the students' like percentage of voting?
Yes. So in the end, I went to my first EMR meeting, and we all introduced each other, and then there was this chair, because so the concept of the whole student board is that you have half of the student board are teachers and half are students. So for example, in the CMR you have 10 teachers and you have 10 students, right? So in the EMR you also have some teachers and some students, and one of the head teachers who was there for in the EMR for like a couple of years, he was like, oh my god, you are Maya? And I was like, yes. And he was like, oh my god, like you are the girl who like got 135 votes. And I was like, yes. And he was like, nobody ever got so many votes. And I was like, okay, like pressure. But
what is that number in percentage?
So basically nobody cares about the votings. Nobody cares about nobody even knows what CMR, like nobody's using their vote. So I kind of also, through this campaign, I didn't just want to be elected, but also my whole message was just vote, Yes. And I was kind of a bit not shook or surprised or anything, but I was a bit sad that nobody else of the candidates did a campaign. So it's just me who kind of took it seriously or something and did a campaign. And like it never in history apparently, like as this very the teacher that is there for ages, nobody ever voted so much. So the goal was happen. Yeah, but so yeah, at the end of the day, I also had kind of like haters. So a lot of there was somebody who wrote over my posters, something in Latin. I'm not gonna go too deep into it. It was not nice. And but in the end of the day, I'm like, I did this campaign for myself mainly, also to a bit cheer up people and kind of make this a popular thing, because not in every country you have such a you have the freedom to vote like rightly, and here so many students have the vote, and they have the student board, and the student board really has power, and you still don't use your voice to, and it's such a bad marketing for it, like nobody knows even about it, and it really needs to change. So I think it's a success. So
bravo, Maya.
Thank you.
So and now that since you are in this
yes.
How do you say
EMR and CMR,
that how does it feel, like do you fit in, do you like it?
So it's definitely all of this, it's still going on, so my job is still going on, and it is all a big collaborative work. So
Nice.
you're never doing anything by yourself. It's always a lot of it's quite a diplomatic actually. And I don't know, it's I still like it, but at the same time, in the beginning you're all about like, oh my god, we're gonna make the change, we're gonna, oh my god, we're gonna like change the system, oh, we're gonna change the world, you're all up, with energy and with ideas and with da da da. But then I notice, like, um it is the system of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So before you want to do anything, it's bureaucracy, 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 and writing papers and getting papers retouched and sending papers and papers, papers, papers. And I really notice, that I'm kind of time goes by and I'm really unmotivated, because everything you do takes so much time to maybe eventually, maybe it's going to happen. But you can also have so much energy and work and hours and in talks and meetings and whatever, work on an idea, that in the end they're gonna be voting on it, and in a split second they can vote no, and then all of your work you did is like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And that really, not really much motivation,
Yeah, I get it.
But I don't regret it. I think it's such a big a step also for me to learn so much about the system and about how everything works, because when you're just a student, first I had no idea what's happening, and now, oh my god, like there are so many things, and I just now, and I'm like, it started in January, so I'm a couple of months now into the position. I just now kind of realize how it works,
Yeah.
and it's gonna end in July, so very soon, and I'm like, oh my god, it's already gonna end, and I just now realize how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But like this, like sounds a lot like interactive learning, like both ways. You are learning about the position and another way around. But like, can you give me like some more specific example of demonstrating interactive learning, please?
Yeah, so interactive learning. I would like to take the part of interactive learning which is connected to be willing to learn in varied and challenging settings. And I actually found myself in a very challenging setting during when the corona pandemic started in around March, April 2020. And back then I was actually, it was the 3.2, so it was the second semester of the third year. And that second semester is always supposed to be the semester where you go abroad, or I mean, you do that doesn't have to be abroad. You do an internship or an exchange, different school. So that can be in the Netherlands, can be outside of the Netherlands, whatever. So I found an internship in London at Ashley Williams, which is a fashion brand in London. And I started there 1st of February. And 2 months later, the studio stopped working. So the studio shut because of Corona entering UK, entering Europe, spreading. And I found myself in a situation where I left London to go to Birmingham, or like to Bromsgrove, which is a village close to Birmingham, to my friend's place, to her family place, because I didn't want to stay alone in London, etc., etc. It was just a really like difficult situation. So I was there, and obviously my internship stopped because of the situation, and we got this alternative assignment which was called Voyage Around My Rooms. Okay, so the assignment was that you kind of like get inspired by the environment you're in. So I was in this house. I didn't really, like it was not my house, but I did get my room, and like there was, different parts of the house, and like the more I was there, the more I felt comfortable, and etc. So I decided to start to try out something else. So I was like, um, I had my so I was kind of trying to work with the tools I have there. So okay, I had the house, which was kind of like the starting point, or the start inspiration. But then, what are the tools? So I had my camera with me, which was like a digital Canon camera, and I had like I had my clothes there, and I had my friend there, Alice, and so I had some things. I had my laptop with like the Adobe programs. I didn't have any like super special programs, but like I had something, the basics exactly. So I was like, okay, what can I do with this? So I started taking pictures because anyways I liked visual work, and I was like, I have my camera with me, so might as well, right? So I started experimenting. They had also a nice garden, and it was kind of getting spring, so like I really just started experimenting. And then I was more getting into, okay, the house, rooms, da 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 da, and I was like getting into this more like more like detailed topic into like what do different rooms in the house represent for women who are in the house. So for example, the kitchen. So, for example, the kitchen, where I used an example of like contradiction. So, actually, to be quite like to explain more, you had every room, which every room had kind of a different story. So, like it was connected because of the female, but it did have a different story. So, for example, the kitchen was connected to Nigella Lawson, okay, which I also didn't know about before I went to the UK. But Nigella Lawson is a very famous kind of celebrity cook in the UK, and she wrote this book that the parents of Alice had in the house, and the cookbook was called. Oh my god, it was called Domestic Goddess. How to be a domestic goddess. That was the name of the book. And I was like, oh, I had the urge of throwing up when I saw this. But then I was like intrigued by it because I didn't like it. And you kind of notice also in the past project, I kind of am intrigued by things that I don't like. So
you're open in like learning new things that you don't understand,
yeah,
you don't like.
exactly.
Like, okay, let's see what people see here.
Yes. So I looked into this Nigella Lawson chick because I was like, okay, I don't like your book. Obviously, I don't like the topic of your book, but what else do you have to offer? So I kind of research about her, and then it turns out that there was this whole affair. She was this perfect, housewife, domestic goddess, whatever she wants to call herself, with this cooking show and like perfect, curvy figure, this mother figure, and like beautiful face. She's a beautiful woman, and a perfect cook, and la di da di da. And then you have this like article next to that, which is about like I don't know, from like 2019, which was like Nigella Lawson, cokehead. She's like drug abusive, la di da di da. Like it was this whole like how do you call that, like affair, of like Nigella being like this different kind of like parallel world of Nigella, of like different face of Nigella. And I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Yes, girl, like break the fucking rules, take coke, like. Anyways, so I wanted to connect those things. So like, for example, for the kitchen, I took the scene of the perfect family kitchen, which was there, the kitchen of the Alice's parents, which was like this perfect, innocent, beautiful kitchen, like big, big cooking island, big stove. Everything was like family kitchen, like a lot of magnets on the fridge, like. And then you had like, and then I made the scene where you had like this kitchen, and then in the second scene you had Alice, which was like representing the housewife, right? Which was like taking the coke, aka flour, and like and was throwing it in the air, and this whole like story of the kitchen was like she made a recipe, but the recipe looked like the recipe from the book, but it was for crack cocaine,
Oh.
So
I have goosebumps.
Yeah.
Nice.
So like you think it's a recipe and then you read it and you're like, oh, you know.
Amazing.
And so for every room there was that kind of a story, you know. So like I mixed, you know.
I didn't know about this one, but I knew another one from the Instagram, the dining room. I like that one a lot. Like this conflict of like this should be a place where you're feeling good, with sitting with your family, eating dinner or lunch, like whatever. But then for other people it can be like just anxiety of eating food, and like eating disorders are like serious things that people sometimes are just like, oh yeah, she just wants to be thin. No, it's not just that. It's like the whole system is sometimes pressuring women and men. They should look certain way, and if they don't, like for example, if men are too thin or if women are too fat or another way around, doesn't matter. It's just like so nice. I liked it a lot, and I discussed it with my friend. He liked it as well. Okay, so yeah, I see the everything, but like tell me, okay, so what was the result? Okay, you told me as well, but like how did you present it to your professors and how did they react?
Okay, so basically in the end, like I mean, I did take a risk.
Like, what was your interactive learning in this whole experience?
Yeah, so basically, so I took the opportunity of using the tools I had, which was quite new to me, because I have the tendency in my before Corona to really, when I have a topic, I go way too far. Like I go way too far, and I kind of sometimes even lose, you know, because like I don't know what to choose. Well, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this, and here I really could focus on one thing. And in the end of the day, it was kind of like, I wouldn't say the first step, but it was definitely one of the steps where I was like, I was in the situation where I am studying fashion design, but this project was photography. You know, I took pictures and I used Photoshop, and I never used Photoshop before. So I was like, you know what? I have this opportunity. I have the time. I have the focus. I have the peace to sit and learn a new program that I always wanted to learn, but I was always kind of scared and never had the patience to do it. And now I'm gonna just do it, because why not? You know, there was no pressure, there was no other things, there was no job, you know, there was just, let's try. Exactly. And that was so beautiful. But you know, and I was again so happy and lucky that like I was not restricted of again making a collection or making a dress or making da 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 da. I could just make what I wanted to make, and I just worked with a topic and I expressed it through photography. Call it fashion, call it photography, call it whatever you want, but that was my topic. And then, you know, in the end I had this bunch of photographs, so about 2 to 3 photographs per room, which I then, you know, put in this 3D space, because again we were all online, so the only way kind of to present it was to find an online way. So I put the pictures in this 3D space, in this 3D house, which I created with again a kind of very simple program called Home Styler, which is actually a program that is free, and it's used by, I mean, usually housewives who have nothing better to do but to rearrange or to have ideas about their home, and it's quite easy to use. So I was like, you know what, why do I have to use something complicated that my computer probably cannot handle, that that I have to pay for? I'm just gonna use what I have. So I used this free program. I built this house, I put my pictures in it, and in the end I made this video where I kind of guide you through the different rooms and explain the pictures and explain the story of the room. So that was like the end result.
Nice. I like it. I didn't know much about this project, even though we were on the phone all the time. Yeah, but yeah, nice. So, okay, now we come to the last topic, which is knowledge creation.
Yes.
What do you have to tell me about
so the knowledge creation, I want to use knowledge here as like an kind of an not interaction, but kind of an exchange of experience. And I do want to talk here about my graduation work, which is at this point not finished, but I'm on the way. And it's about I mean generally it's about like home, and that was like my first topic I started with from within myself, where I found myself constantly, well, not constantly, but like a lot of times, reminiscing about the topic of where do I feel home and what is home for me, and is it Serbia, is it Germany, is it the Netherlands, is it, where is it, and what is it. And through that I kind of wanted to talk about it. I wanted to exchange knowledge and exchange experience, exchange thoughts about that topic with other people who live in diaspora. So that's how my whole research started. And I started talking to my family and my mom, who also traveled a lot, and my grandma who moved because of Yugoslavia, and because of the history of Yugoslavia.
Tell me more about Yugoslavia. I don't know about it.
So
I mean, I do, but people don't.
Yes. So basically the history of the Balkans, and especially ex-Yugoslavia. And Yugoslavia was a country that consists out of 5 countries that are now contemporary countries, and that's Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia, Montenegro, Slovenia, and Macedonia. Exactly. And Kosovo, yeah, which was part of Serbia. And anyways, so it's complicated, right?
And then when it fell apart.
Exactly. So it was a big country that was a self-sufficient, or like a independent communist country. So not connected with the SSSR. Yeah, socialist, thank you. Socialist country in the, when was that? In the 60s, 70s,
Yeah.
Right?
From 45 until 80.
82, I think, when
Yeah.
Tito died.
Well, Tito died
He
80, no?
dominated.
Yes,
this
1980. On this
1980.
day, 1980. 4th of May, 1980.
And when he died, everything
Yes,
collapsed.
when he died, everything collapsed. And then it was like about religion, it was about what country is what, and a big civil war. And then a lot of people started leaving the country because of the war. And nowadays people also leave the country still, or like also the ex-Yugoslavian countries, and generally Balkan countries, but especially ex-Yugoslavian countries, because we still didn't recover from the civil war. And poverty. People are just trying to find their own way for better life. But it's still happening for different reasons. So the leaving, right? So I just started talking with people who I found in Rotterdam, so close to me, kind of, that are people living in diaspora. And I found this cafe in close to my place where I live in Rotterdam Zuid, and it's this place run by 2 women from Sarajevo, from Bosnia, and they run because they were immigrants from the war, and they were. And then so I listened to their stories. I listened to other stories from the people being in that restaurant. I talked to them, and I always ask kind of this open questions of what is home to you, what would you take with you when you would move, is there anything you're really connected to, what does it mean to you. So it's kind of, I didn't have ready questions. I didn't have questions that like a questionnaire that I would always ask, what's your name, what's this, what's that, what's that. It was more like the vibe, like also because it's so difficult to talk about these topics, because it's so much trauma, and it's a topic that a lot of people don't want to be reminded of even. I really had to feel the situation and see like how far can I go with that person.
like what was? I mean, I understand the situation,
Yes.
but what was like the task around that you wrapped all
Yes.
this story around?
Yeah, so basically I first wanted to, like do this
Research.
research,
Okay.
exactly, and then from that I kind of like this took five stories or 5 interviews. I would say more like 5 stories that like I found the most interesting, or like 5 stories that like stuck with me. And then from those 5 stories I kind of like mapped them and kind of tried to dissect them. So like what are the points or the words or whatever in those stories that stuck with me. So like I don't know, for example, this one story of like Amna, of this one woman who is having the restaurant, who's owning the restaurant, and so she had this necklace from her grandma that she always takes with her. So then I write, necklace, and then I have the picture of the necklace. So like I kind of started mapping it also visually and like in words and in any possible way I could, audio as well. So like I always recorded the conversation I had with the people, so I can like re-listen and from that point I was like, okay, I mapped it, what am I gonna do now? And then I kind of like, there was this point where again I was like, okay, these personal stories of people, but I have to find a way to step back and make this my own, because in the end of the day this is my project, and like this is my way of expressing the essence of them, right? So then I took a step back and I was like, okay, I actually want to do the performances, and I want to kind of take these objects or rituals or whatever those are that like kind of like people creating their own home within a space, a new space. They're creating their safe space, and like I was like, how can I recreate it, but not in a literal way? I don't have to use the necklace of of Amna's grandma, but like how can I make it into something very personal and symbolic, and like that it still has the value of the necklace but in a different way. It's not going to be a necklace, it's going to be something else, but it still represents the value of it. But in this way, knowledge creation, I would connect it also in like what I realized recently, actually, through this whole months of research and process and doing and thinking, that this whole project is like this community care and community talk about our struggles, and making it public, like because also the performances I want to make them in public spaces. So making it public, because all of these things that I talked about with people are very personal and like a very traumatic actions and stories, and I think we need to talk about this more. And maybe this is subconsciously was maybe my way to kind of like take this outside and start talking to people, because this also goes into intergenerational trauma, and things we carry around and we're not even aware of, and we don't talk about, and we're ashamed of it. And maybe this is some kind of way, and of course I'm not gonna change the world with this, but like this is some kind of way to start a conversation.
Yeah, that could help find an answer.
Exactly. Or yeah.
That's
So
beautiful.
in that way, I guess this is my own way of knowledge creation, which maybe doesn't fit the typical definition of knowledge and creation, but I found kind of my own connection to it.
Yeah, it really stuck with me the sentence that you said, like, use other people's knowledge and like practical experiences to build on existing knowledge and connect new developed knowledge to the old one. For me, that's like the key sentence for the whole thing. And yeah, okay, that's really nice. But like, as I understand, this is your like final project for like a bachelor degree.
Yeah.
And like, do you now maybe see some kind of result, or is it still in the process? How do you feel about
I mean,
that?
yeah, the result eventually is going to be the 5 performances, and all the objects that I'm gonna make connected with them. But yeah, I still don't know, like, for me, the result, yes, is that, of course, but then there's also the result above the result, and that's like kind of the reactions of the people, and how is this gonna make them feel. Because with every performance you kind of have a public, right? Be that online, be that in real life, whatever. And I'm kind of like really looking forward to see the reactions of the people.
Yeah.
And like,
And also the reactions of people who told you your story.
yeah, I'm a bit nervous about that, I'm a bit nervous about that because it is a personal story. And and like...
But from your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. But I do have this like, oh my God, like, did I misuse their story? Like, because, I did tell them I am using your story, because obviously I'm interviewing you for something. But they don't know what I'm actually doing, So will they be offended, or will they be crying? Will they be angry? I don't know what's gonna happen. Will they be happy? But that's what's really intriguing me. Yes.
So I think that is actually the answer on the question about reflection. It's literally gonna be a reflection of those people
Exactly
in those performances, and when they actually see it. And I also think, like in psychotherapy, like you have this how do you call it, drama therapy,
okay,
where you actually choose other people who are going to be characters from some of your, for example, some trauma that you lived, and you choose people, you give them sentences or like parts they're going to play, and then you observe.
Ooh.
And I actually personally did that, and it's so helpful to like see other people, like it's your words, it's your characters, it's your situation from your head, but you actually see it, and now you have the power to change what you want to change, to tell your story. I think that's going to be really helpful for those people to heal this trauma they all experienced in one way or another. Even if you go abroad to study, it's not easy. Like, you are 18 years old, you have no idea what the world is in your country, nevertheless, like in other countries. And I think that those people are actually going to benefit the most, like seeing their stories from different perspective, but their stories, their words, their like necklace from grandmother and etc. And I think that's the beauty of the whole project. And I think, like, amazing, Maya. I love it. I love the idea and everything that you do. I mean, you're the goddess, baby.
Stop. But we will see. I mean, it's all in process, but yes, we'll see for now.
Oh, yeah. Like, a few weeks ago, I talked to Maya. I was like, okay, Maya, how is your, like, diploma work going on? She's like, oh, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of fine because I started in the first semester my research. So now I have enough time to just wrap it around and, like, finish it. I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, my philosophy is like, if you're on time, you're already being late. And I love that about you. Yeah. So yeah, I like. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank
it was
you for listening.
And like just bravo.
Thank you, Anastasia, for being mental support.
Yeah, that's what the friends are for.
Yeah.
Baby. Love
Thank